All right, what's up, Bulldogs? All right, we got we're gonna hurt some feelings tonight. That's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be hurting some feelings. I got Swole Alpha here again. He hit me up on Instagram, and he wanted to talk about Black Lives Matter. So I said, yeah, let's talk about it. Probably if you guys saw my Instagram post that went out today on Alpha Males Don't Kneel. It's kind of interesting. I've talked about this topic before, but yeah, let's get into it, man. What's on your mind?
All right, so I watched your video.
Yeah.
That you do not agree with the whole movement. You will not be part of it.
Mm.
I want to ask you a question. Did you see the documentary called The 13th on Netflix?
The 13th? No, I haven't. It's called The 13th.
Yeah, could you pull up it on YouTube for us to see? Maybe like a preview.
Okay, yeah. Let's see that real quick. Hold on. All right, let me see here. Share screen. Okay. 13th full feature Netflix. Here's a trailer. Should we look at the trailer?
Yeah, let's look at the trailer.
Yeah. Mm.
Is there a way we can do sound?
Oh, is there no sound on it? Hold on.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can do sound? We might not be able to do sound on StreamYard. Let me see. Oh yeah, share audio. Here we go. Okay. Let's start that over. Okay. Should have sound now.
No, I don't hear nothing.
You don't hear it?
Mm-mm.
Let me see if it's showing up on the live stream. Hold on. Let me unpause it. Yeah, it looks like the sound's not coming through on it.
Well, I watched it, and so basically what it goes into is the African Americans, mostly males, of course, and them going into prison, and how America implemented systems to put them in prison so that it kind of disrupted the Black community, like right after slavery. And so it went into like different schemes that presidents like Nixon and everybody around him did in order to put more Blacks into the prison system. So what this documentary entailed is that the reason that Black people are, where they at in the inner cities mostly, right, is because of systematic racism.
Okay.
So looking back into the history, I realized that, okay, I was actually getting upset watching the documentary. I was like, okay, there's a reason why, Black people in the inner city are where they at, in their situation. Are white people further ahead of them? Of course. But I'm in Chicago. Do you know the murder rate?
Like what the murder rate is in Chicago, like per 100,000 people?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but it's pretty damn high.
It was over 400, and I don't know. I don't even know if it increased since then because that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now we all talk about the victim mentality, excuses, all this and that. John, I know obviously Black people has been held back. But if I've seen white people get up and stand for this movement, Black Lives Matter, what I have not seen, especially in my own city, is I don't see Black lives mattering to other Blacks.
Right.
There has been people that I've met that attended my church, people in my family that got murdered, robbed, threatened to get murdered Like my own brother, for instance, that was being in the West Side of Chicago for no reason that he shouldn't have been. He was riding out with his friends to meet some girls. He gets they stop at a stoplight and they get robbed. They knew that they wasn't from there. Called them, suburban black folk, robbed them of everything. If they did not cooperate, or if one of them were more triggered, who knows if my brother would have made it out there alive. There was a young kid that attended our church that got murdered just from just waiting out in the car in the south side of Chicago. I can't tell you how many moments and how many times that black people are getting killed by their own kind for literally no reason at all. One of my best friends from college, who is also black, who grew up in the south side of Chicago, his cousin recently got murdered 2 weekends ago over a parking spot. Over a parking spot.
Yeah, yeah.
It's insane. And so, yes, what happened to George Floyd is horrendous. I am not giving that white officer an excuse whatsoever. But after that time, the murder rate increased in Chicago heavily. I wouldn't even go into the south side or the west side right now. During the time in the 60s, what did we see? We saw Martin Luther King, a whole bunch of other black leaders going up in the streets, protesting. Black people were together. Everybody was unified, all in order for us to become more free. The churches were full. Even when I was a kid, I can remember in the mid 90s, churches were packed. Families were together. Everybody, Sunday was a huge deal. Church was so packed. I mean, church would run for hours. We will either have dinner in the main auditorium of the church, or we would go out to eat. That is gone now. The church in the black community is dying. And it is all tied into what is going on in today's society. Faith, God, doing the right thing. These are all things that is part of our own responsibility. Not because of what white people had done to us before in the past. Yes, where there's some major injustices. Of course there were. But in order to make change, we have to take responsibility for ourselves. There's no reason why we should be killing each other for no reason, for you disrespect me or I'm gonna take your Jordans. It's now it's getting to the point where little kids are being caught up in the gunfires. And it's all tied in to the Black Lives Movement, because why is it such an increase? Why is that? And again, it's all positive. I like seeing people unified, going after a good cause. This is good. But also, why is it so normal for another black life to kill another black life? And then it is outrage when one white officer kills a black person.
Right. Well, here's what I think about. I think there's a few things. Like, one of the biggest problems is that we still see like a division between people. Like, I know that it's like real popular now to say that not seeing color or being colorblind is actually racist, but we're not going to get through these issues until we actually stop seeing color, because it's such a ridiculous notion, the idea of race in the first place. And then second of all, it really comes down to individual responsibility, right? So it doesn't matter what someone did to your ancestors in the past, myself included. I mean, heck, my dad was from poor Istanbul, Turkey. I mean, when he came over to this country, think about being a Turkish immigrant, not speaking English, and what kind of shit that you have to deal with, and what kind of, but I don't there never in my life have I ever blamed anything that went bad in my life based on that on what what had happened, because it's about individual responsibility. It's because when you look at it, right, a lot of people want to hide behind what's happened to them or their family or many years ago, instead of accepting individual responsibility. And that's the thing. It's like if you kill someone, if you rob someone, if you like, those are all choices that you make. Now, yeah, when I agree with you that from a perspective of, if you look at it on the, if you choose to divide people into white and black and whatever, and you say, okay, in a general economic sense, are white families more advantaged? Yeah, I agree with you in that sense. But when we try to say like, okay, because of a disadvantage, or because of whether it was engineered or not, which it doesn't really matter. There's so many horrendous things that have happened throughout history to so many groups of people. I mean, if we're going to look at some of those things, we have to look at the Jews as well, right? Because the Jews were one of the most persecuted groups of people in the world, right? I mean, from multiple, and but it's funny at the same time, we have all these Jewish conspiracies where we're like, oh, well, they run Hollywood and they run, all these industries and banking and make all this money. And so it's like, so we can't really like equate. That's the problem I have, is like, the problem I have is all these logical inconsistencies, right? It's like, if you're going to say that some kind of like systematic suppression is happening, and and you're going to give responsibility for your life to something that's happened like that, then you have to apply it across the board, right? And it just doesn't work out. So that's why all of those types of systems of philosophy of looking at life don't work. What does work, the only thing that works, is individual responsibility. To say that whoever you are, it doesn't matter who your parents are, it doesn't matter what your skin color is, it doesn't matter how bad the neighborhood you grew up in, the choices that you make are still your own. Now, if you started at a worse place on the totem pole, you may make really great choices, and you may not climb as far as someone who started at the middle of the totem pole and made really good choices. But those are still your choices. And that's the only sovereignty we have over our lives. We can't control other people, we can't control everything else. And the biggest problem that I've had with the whole Black Lives Matter movement is that it's trying to push a narrative. It's trying to make people feel guilty for things that they haven't done, right? And I was just thinking about this day as I was running down the street, and I saw this white girl with young white girl with a Black Lives Matter sign, and I was like, it's kind of interesting that this girl is holding up this sign, Black Lives Matter, and I'm thinking to her, do the people that she thinks she cares about, do they actually care about her? Does her life matter to them? Because I don't think it really does. Because you know what I mean? Like, I don't think someone's gonna be holding up a sign for young white girls' lives matter. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So it's just kind of ironic that
and
yeah,
that's what I'm trying to make.
yeah,
Before Black Lives Matter to other people, it starts with us. Black Lives Matter gotta matter to other Black lives.
mm-hmm.
Now, there's some tie-ins that I'm going to make, and it deals with a lot of issues that I've seen and has been done to me while I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So while growing up, I was always underneath this false responsibility of being quote unquote Black, that I gotta act Black.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the social stigma? What is the stereotype of acting Black? Hands sagging down, tattoos all over my body. I can't say one sentence in correct grammar.
Mm-hmm.
I have to listen to rap music from sundusk to sundown, and I can't listen to Kid and Play or DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. No, not that kind of rap. No, that kind of rap is for white people.
Mm-hmm.
No, I gotta listen to "We Gonna Kill This N-Word" and "We Gonna Kill That N-Word." That's the Black people rap. While attending school, my dad is a pastor, so he had me jumping from school to school all throughout my childhood. One year, I'll be in the white school. The next year, I'll be in the black school. I've learned and I study all kinds of people. And I never grew up rich. My parents did the best that they could. They put food on the table. But there were a lot of kids that had more than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I always had a work ethic and I always had a drive to be better. That, hey, I am in this spot right now, but when I grow up, I'm going to be even in a better spot. Because why? I'm going to put the hard work into it each and every day. I'm going to set my own path. So kids of the same color saw me maybe read a little bit more. Maybe saw me practice a little harder on the basketball court or in the weight room. Why? Because I always wanted to be better. I always wanted to explore different things in life. I didn't want to just listen to rap music. I love rap music. But guess what? I want to dive into rock and roll. Oh, no, you can't do that though. You can no. That's acting white. But the same social stigma for a white kid doesn't exist. A white kid can listen to whatever he wants. He can listen to rock and roll. He can listen to rap. He can listen to blues. He can wear any type of shoes he wants. He doesn't have the pressure of wearing $200 Jordans to match with every single outfit Monday through Friday at school.
Yeah.
You know what my parents could afford me? One pair of Felines from what was that cheap store?
Payless shoes.
Payless shoes.
That's where I used to shop too. So.
Yeah. But all the other black kids, they had some, I don't know how they got this money, maybe from welfare or something. Had all these pairs of Jordans to match with every single outfit, and then they gonna make fun of me, because I'm supposedly supposed to have a 6-figure job while I'm in middle school or in high school to afford all these Jordans, to have the latest phone. So I'm growing up with this pressure. And where does all this pressure come from? It comes from the social stigma. And what does the social stigma usually comes from? This is the same way of being blue pilled. How is a blue pill man created? By society. And the hardest thing about society is the media. So the media, and you look at it, what did every 70s, 80s, even 90s, the black character, he always had to be like, yeah, he it's like he had a certain swagger, about himself. And and that documentary that I put up, the 13th. Yeah. So they go into all the social injustices done with blacks and them being put in the prison systems. And so this is what created hoods and projects and whatever. So when NWA came into the picture, which was the first gangster rap group, they were the ones who first started telling the stories of what was going on in the hood, because they couldn't get jobs. Black people couldn't get jobs. So they committed crimes to survive out in the streets. And so they're telling these stories. Then comes along Ice-T, Snoop Dogg. And then it's a turn where it gets kind of away from storytelling, from a guy who had a hard life, now into this is the standard. So before that, you had guys like Heavy D and the Boys. You had Kid and Play. You had DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Will Smith. If you guys don't know, the Fresh Prince it's Will Smith. Yeah. Kid and Play, actually, they were huge in the early to mid 90s. You remember them?
Yeah.
They were doing movies. They did rap albums. I mean, House Party 1, 2, and 3. Class Act. They were mega big. They had a cartoon. Do you know that Vanilla Ice, when he got famous, he called them white? He called them white.
Yeah.
And that was because of why? Because you look at Kid and Play, these guys are just regular black guys. They're not committing crimes.
Right.
They probably were from a bad neighborhood, but guess what? They decided on choice, just like what you said, John, to be better, to set a better example. So yeah, they wasn't dealing with drugs, they wasn't cursing up a storm. But since they weren't doing all that, now they are classified with being white. It's the same way with Will Smith. Will Smith will get no credit in the rap game whatsoever. But
Mm.
if you look at the record sales, he sold more records than Jay-Z. But since it was all positive, feel-good music, that's the white people music.
Well, see, and here it is. I mean, right here, you know, not to pick on Mr. Fritz 365, but he says, I mean, this is an example of it, right? It's like he's trying to pressure you into this, like that you have to fit this kind of mold. Like, why do you have to fit this mold, right? You know, this whole concept, like what, like the whole concept of of a of a of a group of people as opposed to individuals. Like when we identify, we have like group politics, we identify with groups. This is the problem,
Yeah,
right? And this is just a great, you know, I pulled up this comment because it's a demonstration of it. I mean, he doesn't intend, you know,
yeah,
I,
he doesn't intend because he's
he's
brainwashed.
right.
Look at the words. Damn, I feel bad for Swole Alpha. No, it's the other way around. I feel bad for you. Sounds to me like he wasn't accepted by the black community as a youth, and now has some inner resentment towards the black community. Okay, again, so this will be a guy that will say, you're acting white. You're not part of us. Why? Because I know how to read and write. I know how to talk. I have my own business because of it. I have a millionaire clientele. Do you honestly think that I will be as successful as I am now? Sagging down my pants, can't say a word in grammar. John, do you think that I would have that?
No, because you know what? Here's the thing. People, we're never going to get rid of racism. Why? Like, because we're never going to get rid of stereotypes,
Yeah.
because genetically, biologically, stereotyping is what has allowed the human species to survive. And that's why, like, when you see someone walking down the street, you immediately come up with an assessment of that person, and it is something that is unconscious, and it's something that is beneficial to you because you look at them and you don't just look at the color of their skin. You look at how they're dressed, how they're walking, right? In brief milliseconds, you get those micro expressions. It's the same thing that we talk about in game, where a woman will size you up, or you figure out the girls that you like. It's the same concept. And so what I'm saying is that, you know, I'm agreeing with you. Basically, how you dress, how you talk, how you carry yourself, people are going to make assumptions about you, right or wrong. And sometimes they're going to be wrong assumptions, right? Like if you're sagging your pants and you're speaking you know, ebonics, you know, bad grammar and whatnot, you know, most people are going to, you could be the same person that you are right now with the same intelligence, same drive, same everything, but they're going to see you in a bad light. They're going to think that you're more likely to be a criminal. They're going to think these things. And it's not going to be because of the color of the skin, because I think that's a ridiculous excuse that a lot of people use. It's going to be because of the characteristics that they associate with crime and violence and lower socioeconomic status. It has nothing to do precisely with the color of the skin. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't any kind of like purely skin color racism. I'm sure that there is down in the South, but for the most part, most of us that, you know, that operate in the world today, that's not what the case is. And even when you see the cases where cops pulling over, a lot of times, I mean, shit, if, you know, again, like what you're wearing, how you're dressed, how you talk, how you speak to a police officer, it's all those little things make such a huge difference, right? And I can even say the same thing. I mean, because, you know, I've been pulled over by a police officer, and you know, I'm not exactly like the whitest looking guy, and a lot of guys think I'm Mexican or whatever. And I you know, I was wearing a tank top, and you know, I looked like I was, you know, and I got, you know, stopped and searched and come out of the car and all this shit. And it's like, okay, but I've also been driving to work in a suit and tie and been pulled over, and, you know, and no problem at all. So I think it's perception, right? And that's the thing, is it's like, as long as you hold on to the perceptions of the stereotypes that are going to make you look bad, there's no way around. Like, you can't force the rest of the world to say, okay, no, we're not going to judge people based on how they look at all. because that's ridiculous. It's never going to happen.
And,
So yeah,
and the stereotypes play such a big role because it keeps young black men brainwashed into thinking that you gotta act this one way. And you gotta be this one type of individual in order for you to be accepted by society. And I remember there was a kid who got into some serious trouble. I think he's still doing time today on my basketball team.
Mhm.
And he told our coach, he was like, the only way I can make it is I either rap or I make it in this hoop thing.
Mhm.
That was instilled in his brain. And why was that instilled in his brain? Because of the culture, because of the media. He
Mhm.
honestly believed that. And you know what? He was a bright kid.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
he was selling drugs in school, but the way he formulated his plan to get all this money was brilliant.
Mhm.
It was brilliant. He could have took that same mindset and maybe started his own business that was legal right
Right.
after high school. But no, he couldn't do that. Why? Because he's acting white.
Mhm. It's what it is. It's crabs in the bucket, right? Anytime you have a bucket full of crabs and another crab tries to climb out of the bucket, what do the other crabs do? They pull them down, right? And that's what happens. And and it's unfortunate. It doesn't just happen in the black culture, black community as well. It happens in a lot of communities. It happens in a lot of places, and it's unfortunate that so many people like given to that peer pressure and that's what it is. It's a natural human response. You see someone who who potentially is going to improve their life, and you say, oh, you think you're better, you think you're better than us, you
Right.
think you're better than us, you're going to disregard your family, like where your roots, where you came from, right?
Yeah.
All the pressure. Why? Because they're afraid that you're leaving them, and then they're going to have to deal with their own shit and take responsibility for themselves. But you know what? If I can be with a bunch of losers then I feel better, because I'm like, hey, we're all, and then we get together, a bunch of losers, and we say, you know whose fault it is? It's that guy's fault over there, right? And it just so happens that it's a white guy's fault. Okay, that's the easy one, right? Or whoever it is. Again, like I said, this happens all the time. This is not just a phenomenon that happens in the black community. It's a serious phenomenon that you're pointing out, and that's what happens, because it makes me feel better if I have a bunch of other people who are also losers, and then we say it's someone else's fault, and then when anyone tries to leave our group, we say, hey, they're a traitor. Hey, they're taking the easy way out. We're over here, we're doing the right thing, we're doing the hard thing, and they're taking the easy way out. That's what it is. And then everyone wants to make it about race, right? And it's not that anything isn't about it, but the whole concept of race to me is just a ridiculous fucking notion, because I don't even understand, because now we have 23andMe and DNA tests and all that shit, and every time we look at our DNA, it's like, well, what percentage of what makes you what? I don't even fucking know. Like, why is it that Obama's considered to be black when he's also white? Like, because he has some black, so, or because it's just easy to use him as a token? You see what I'm saying? It's like, why wouldn't what's you have no way of drawing the line, right? There's no clearly scientific way to say, oh, okay, you're this race or you're this race, right? You can look at your DNA and we still can't tell you. You have to identify with it. Like, you have to just decide what race you are. And that's a problem, because anytime you have to identify in order to define what your characteristic is, that means that you are assuming a group identity. And anytime you assume a group identity, that's the danger. Then you're going to get in that crabs in a bucket situation, no matter who you are. And that's the thing that I don't like.
John, I told you this on Instagram. I said we're going to agree on a lot. you know,
Because yeah,
I felt like when I was watching your video, you were holding some stuff back, and I was like, you know what? Let me bring it out.
you
I'm
get
the
it.
one to bring it out. So I was like, because now if they watching this, now they fully understand.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
they fully understand. And I know why you can't. If the stuff that's coming out of my mouth right now was to come out of your mouth, you'll be in some trouble.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. You know, it's not that like I don't care. I mean, I've been canceled already, but I don't want to alienate people as much as I can that I can help. But you know, Mr. Lucario is out there. I don't know why he's not showing up in the chat on here. Maybe we should invite him to jump on too. I don't. Lucario, if you wanna jump on here, let me know and I will send you a link because I know you've got some things you want to talk about that I said, especially about. He said black men were dressed in suits when they got hanged from trees, and I agree. I mean, that was a different time, I think, though. You know, than now. You know, that's the thing. Is like, I don't know. I mean,
I'm not
yeah,
disregarding the past at
yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah.
In the past, but again, we got to move forward.
Mm.
You know, it's the issue here, and we're being stuck on the past. It's the past, the past, the past. We're gonna whine and complain. Guess what? I'm 28 years old. You know how fast those 28 years went by?
Right.
Well, I'm not gonna spend my next 28 years complaining because guess what? If I'm complaining this next 28 years, that's gonna take energy out of me. Guess what I could have put that energy into?
Exactly.
Bettering my situation. It's no point of complaining because of this. We got to move forward. We got to move forward, and it starts with us. Crabs in the bucket. You remember the movie Django Unchained?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so do you remember the Samuel Jackson character?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, and how he was, the house slave.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, then Jamie Foxx comes up on the horse,
Uh-huh.
and then Samuel Jackson looks at him, and he's like, "What is this in on a horse?" But that's what it is. That in that movie it displayed the whole acting white mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it did.
So
Yeah, yeah.
Django was the character who didn't have no excuses, that was working his way through slavery, and Samuel L. Jackson was the guy who was given into the oppression. You
Mhm.
know, just doing the systematic right thing to do. And then so he looked up at Jamie Foxx. It was like, why does he think he's special?
Mhm.
Why does he think he's special? And that's the thing. It's called house in versus field in. And Jay-Z mentioned this in one of his rap songs. And so we have this inner self-hatred towards us that started since slavery that keeps us holding each other back, the crabs in the bucket mentality. When I step out on my day, I'm not going, I'm black.
Right. Yeah.
You know what? Screw it, I'm just gonna go back to bed.
Right.
I write down my goals, I get it done.
Right.
Look at you just had Alpha Male Strategies.
Yeah.
He's doing well now, but look what he was doing before he was in on YouTube.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He had his own security business.
Mhm.
He was doing very well in personal training. He was living in a fancy apartment in New York, which that is very expensive. Like New York is ungodly expensive. I
Yeah.
know I have a cousin who lived there for quite some time. He couldn't afford a place like that AMS did. And AMS came from the country where you literally had nothing, and he took the risk to better himself.
Yeah.
So if another example, Coach Greg Adams.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
just said it on the live stream. He says, get that. He calls it Black lesbian matter because it means nothing to him. And he's saying the exact same thing I'm saying now, but he said it like very briefly. He's like, I'm not even going to address that. I was like, first, black people need to be taking care of black people, and I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
I get what he's saying, but we have this responsibility to keep on talking about the past. How about we start talking about the future? How about we start, moving forward? And this is something that I've noticed ever since I was a little kid, and I just feel like we're holding each other back more so than ever. And again, back to the past. If I talk to an OG right now, who tell me, "Well, if you were to apply to a job, the white man is going to hire you over him." Well, of course, you ever heard of a fraternity?
Mhm.
That's when you make your alliances, and that's when you make your networking connections. You see, it's all about networking, but everybody wants to separate themselves from everybody.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk to the white man because if you do, you will be acting white. So
Right.
you don't want to make no networking connections. Or guess what? If you cannot get a job from the white man, okay, then fine. There are kids that are becoming millionaires playing video games.
Right.
Find a way to make clean money. You have no excuses. This that should piss you off.
And it's the opposite now too, right? I mean, at one point in history, it was true what you're saying that, that someone would say, "Oh, I'm going to hire the white guy versus the black guy." Not
Mhm.
true anymore. If you were in the tech industry, for example, right? The best thing that you could possibly be in the tech industry is a transgender black woman, okay, who's handicapped. You will get any job you want if you are that, right? If you, it's more advantageous to be black or any kind of minority, a person of color, in the tech industry. By far, you're more likely to get hired. But the problem with that is that's not actually a good thing. What is a good thing is is uh is a meritocracy where you're likely to get hired based solely on your ability to do the job. Because you know what happens when you're a black woman transsexual who gets hired at Microsoft? You have to question yourself and you have to say, did I get the job because I'm good? Or did I get the job because they want to have a token black woman transsexual person, right? Because I don't like here's the thing. And this is why I don't like Black Lives Matter or any kind of victim mindset type of organization. The one thing I don't want in my life, okay? The biggest insult you could ever give me in my life is pity.
Yes.
Pity is the biggest fucking slap in the face you could ever give me. If you pity me, that is the worst fucking thing. You can beat me up, okay? You can call me all kinds of names. You can discriminate against me. You can fuck up my shit. I don't give a fuck. But do not pity me. Never pity me.
Yeah.
And all of these things that have the victim mindset, they're asking for pity. They're
Yeah.
asking for you to pity. Pity is the most disrespectful human emotion that exists. Pity is pure weakness, right? To say that I will never, ever, I don't care how fucking hard the deck is stacked against me, I will never say I'm at a disadvantage. I will never admit it. No matter how fucking hard it is for me, I'll say it's easy
Hmm.
because I have pride,
Yeah.
because I have my dignity, because I will not have you pity me. That's it. When I fall down in a race, I don't want your hand to help me up. I'm going to brush it off. I'm going to pretend like it doesn't hurt. And I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep on fucking going because I do not want you to pity me. And there's so many people fucking marching today and they're saying, pity me. And they're saying it's all about, doing a good thing. And it's not. Because, as someone pointed out here, if we go to the Black Lives Matter fucking page and we look at their mission statement, in fact, we can do that. It's not about actual Black Lives Matter. It's not about that at all. It's about politics. And when you look at where their money is being spent on it, if they even have their mission statement anymore, that so many people have pointed this out, it doesn't even say what we believe. Okay. It's I don't know, but we can go through this whole thing, but it is not, it's not what it claims to be. Okay. And look at all the things that are like jumped, or that are kind of like packed into here. We make space for transgender, right? It's like, do you promote all this stuff? Like, do you promote like all the, like, foster a queer affirming network, right? It's like all this stuff is being packaged in with this under the guise of, just because the words say Black Lives Matter, but it doesn't really have anything to do with that. It's a completely political movement, and it's driven by the sense of pity, and it's to divide people. It's not actually to, who in the right mind doesn't think that Black Lives Matter? I think, of course, everyone thinks like. I mean, maybe there's some racist guy sitting on his porch in Alabama saying, "Yeah, fuck those black guys. I don't like black guys." But for the majority of America, everyone thinks that everyone's lives matter. That's it's not even a question of that. So it just it drives me nuts, right? And I'll tell you who doesn't think it, right? Because this is what you brought up at the very beginning. At the very beginning of this, there's basically like three groups of people right now. Okay, there's the people that aren't black, that really always thought that Black Lives Matter. They never had any problem with that. They never, attempted to think that there was any kind of difference, right, for the majority of people. There's normal black people that are being pressured by the culture and the media to support this thing, because if you don't, you're not black, and how could you not support this thing? And then there's the criminals that in the black community that are taking advantage of the whole thing, and really don't give a fuck either way, because they're like, fuck it, I don't care. I don't like you're pointing out with the crime statistics. Do you think those guys care? Do you think they care at all? They're just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna like they think everyone's funny marching around with the fucking signs. I don't care. Like they're like, I don't care if someone thinks my life matters. I don't give a fuck. I'll take their life. I'll take their money. I'll take their fucking shoes. I don't give a fuck, right? Like to them, it's got to be fucking hilarious, yes. Right? Yes. That there's all these white girls marching for them just because of the color of their skin. Like you don't know that person. Like why do you care about this person that you don't even fucking know? It's like, it's such a ridiculous idea that you're trying to like help the very people who really don't give a fuck at all, whereas a majority of the black people that I know of, just normal people, just normal everyday people, just like anyone else, not any different, but being force fed down their throat to adopt the group politics, like you said, and to adopt this identity, and that, oh, of course you have to support Black Lives Matter. It's a manipulation. It's a complete manipulation, and it's ridiculous, right? Just the idea, when you think about something like the way that it's named, Black Lives Matter, who would disagree with that statement? I mean, who is sitting here saying no, they don't matter? It's a ridiculous thing. You know what I mean?
It's all about pity, and you point out to the white girls. I had a white girl try to pity me last week.
Mm-hmm,
and I felt like you was like in my body now, just talking my thoughts, because I felt enraged, just like how you were speaking so passionately. I felt enraged when she was saying that. And let me tell you how the incident occurred. So I'm listening to Andy Frisella, and the CEO of First Form Nutrition.
Yeah.
This man, you talking about crazy. Him and his buddy, I think they had both $6,000 each, put $12,000 in a supplement store. Struggled for years. I think they only made like $48,000 in 2 years. Mm. They were living in the back of the supplement store, and he was sleeping on a mattress with a piss stain. I'm for years, to the point where his family was like, "Okay, it's time to get a little realistic. You're not special, Andy. Get a real job. Be realistic. Become a victim." And he said no. He pursued. Now look at him. Private jets, mansion, all kinds of cars that he wants. He doesn't live in a world full of excuses. He is, and I have a fitness brand that I'm going to bring out soon to the world. It is called Relentless Attitude. Andy Frisella is relentless. He has that attitude. We're not celebrating that no more, because guess what? He recently came out with a podcast and this was the podcast specifically, saying no excuses. You can pursue, you can be anybody you want to be, but you got to do the work, and you got to stay consistent. Consistency. So then she goes like, yeah, I like him, but I don't, but he's a white man. He doesn't know what it's like to be a woman. He doesn't know what it's like to be gay, and he doesn't know what it's like to be black. And then when she said that, I was like trying to hold back my hand, because I was so upset, because here I am, and John, I'm working my ass off. I can tell you, I probably got about 8 hours of sleep total since Friday.
Yeah.
I am working my ass off right now to make my dream a reality. I am juggling so many multiple things right now. But I'm not saying that to feel sorry for you to feel sorry for me. I am saying that because I know where I'm heading. I know that the work that I'm putting in right now is going to pay out. I would not use my color as an excuse for any roadblocks that come my way.
Right.
So I compete in bodybuilding, right? Do you know what most of the people what they do when they lose a competition? Because bodybuilding is a solo sport. You don't have a teammate that you can blame. You can't say that, oh, I lost because of the coach, I lost because of this. It's a solo sport. Most people, when they lose a competition, the judges didn't like me.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was the politics. Do you know how many people told me that I wasn't gonna get my pro card at my first national show because I didn't know nobody. I need to know the politics. I need to know this person. I need to know that person. It wasn't about, oh, I need to train. Oh, I need to eat the right foods. I need to stay consistent. Just like Andy Frisella stayed consistent.
Right.
I put in the work for nationals. I got up every day at 5 a.m. I had a split shift to where my shift started at 6 a.m. to noon. I trained right up at 5. I trained in between, and I did my cardio at night. My night ended anywhere between 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. And I got back over and did it again. And do you know what happened when I got to nationals? I got first place and I got my pro card.
Hmm.
Did I, while I was on the pursuit of that goal, say, you know what? I don't know nobody. Oh, I'm not going to put in the work. You know what? I'm not going to start that business. I'm black. I'm supposed to not be able to say words and have my pants sagging down and hopefully become a famous rapper by rapping on street corners. You see the mindset, but I couldn't get mad at her because I it's coming from a it's coming from in her mind, it's coming from a good place. And this is the brainwashing.
Yep.
She honestly believes that there's an excuse. She honestly believes that. But I just told you, AMS, Coach Greg Adams, these are guys that nobody knew of that were self-made men. If they can do it, why do you think that you can't? Why do you think that they're so special? Why? Why? My dad is a great example. My dad grew up in Gary, Indiana. And one time, Gary, Indiana was the murder capital of the world. My dad became a state champion, 2-time state champion, 1-time NCAA champion, and is practically running his own business right now, which is the church. That is a business. Why didn't he give himself an excuse? Why didn't he say, you know what? Nah, I'm just gonna go sell drugs and shoot this guy and shoot that guy, and then maybe, who knows, I'll become a famous rapper for doing so.
Well, what it comes down to is again, see, this is the thing. This is my perspective on it, and this is why, even if I'm wrong, I'm still going to say the same thing that I'm saying, right? Which is, my position is that today there's very little discrimination, if any, and it's all just perception. But I may be wrong. But if I am wrong, I'm still going to say the same thing, and I'll tell you why. Because it does no good to tell someone that they're disadvantaged. It does no good to give someone an excuse. As is one of the analogies I said, if I had a son and my son had one leg and he was like, Dad, the other kids can run faster than me, I only have one leg, I'd be like, what the fuck? I'd be like, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous excuse. There's no reason why you can't run just as fast as them just because you have one leg. What the fuck? That's not a disadvantage, right? I know in my heart that it's a disadvantage, obviously. I'm not stupid. But I'm not going to tell him that, because if I go and I say, hey, you know what, son? You're just not gonna be able to do the other stuff that the other kids can do. You won't be able to run as fast. You shouldn't get on the track team. You're just gonna embarrass yourself. It's not your fault. It's God's fault. You just have one leg. So, you know, I don't expect as much from you as I would if I had a whole son. So, it's okay. Like, just, just do the best you can, and that's cool. That's not the message I want to give him, right?
Right.
The best message I could give him is, look, son, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter if they're better than you. It doesn't matter if they have more advantage than you. That means you're going to have to work harder. But I'm not going to give you an excuse. I'm not going to give you a pass. I'm not going to grade you on a curve just because you have some perceived disadvantage, because I'm not going to see it as a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And that's the message that I give everyone.
Yes.
Because I don't want you to, it might be true. It might be true. I don't know. I'm not a black man. Maybe it is a lot harder to be a black man. Maybe there is a lot more discrimination that I don't see. Maybe there is. Okay. I don't think so, but hey, I can't, it's impossible to know if you're ignorant. So maybe I am. Regardless, I'm still going to give the same message, and I'm going to give it to everyone, which is, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care if it's harder, because it doesn't fucking serve you. Because if I say, okay, all right, you're black, so it's harder for you. You have excuse. How does that help you? It doesn't help you in any fucking way. The best message I could ever give you, whoever you are, to help you, is to say, whatever your fucking excuse is, however good it is, I don't give a fuck. Deal with it. Because no one else gives a fuck. No one is going to take pity on you and actually help you. They may give you pity, but they're not actually going to help you in your life just because you're disadvantaged. What they will give you is pity. Pity is free. It doesn't cost anyone anything to give you pity. So I want to take away your excuse. And again, I go back to Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Okay. If you guys haven't read this book, read Man's Search for Meaning. All right. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. Okay. He was a Jew during the Holocaust. He went to a concentration camp. He saw his family killed. He was tortured. And all kinds of bad things happened to him. And what he said, he never allowed himself to be a victim the whole time, no matter what. He said, no matter what they do to me, they cannot control how I respond. And they will never, ever make me a victim. He basically said that it doesn't matter. He never used it as an excuse. I mean, he had the most, if anyone had an excuse for being a victim, that guy did. No matter how hard your life is, it wasn't as hard as Viktor Frankl. I guarantee you, the amount of persecution that he went through, you didn't have that. And if he wasn't willing to use that as an excuse, if he wasn't willing to say that, to use that, then there's no fucking way that someone else has it. I will never accept the victim. I will never accept someone saying that because of something that was done to them or some disadvantage that they had, that's why they failed. I will never accept it, because it's not going to be helpful. You have to think about in your life, maybe the deck is stacked against you. Maybe you're fucked. Maybe all of these things are bad in your life, and it's harder for you. So what are you going to fucking do about it? Are you going to go and march and hold a sign and be angry and be upset and complain about the injustices? Or are you going to say, you know what? Fuck it. Whatever the odds are, I'm going to overcome them, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to put as much effort. I can't control the world outside. I can't control all these things. So I'm going to put my effort into what I can do in my life to improve it. That's all it's about. That's why the whole discussion is just, to me, it doesn't even fucking matter, because I don't want to debate whether or not there's racism, because it doesn't fucking, because my answer, if there is or there isn't, is still the same. Big fucking deal. I don't care. I don't care. I literally don't give a fuck, because I don't care what people are doing to you. I care what you do. That's why. Because if I really care about you, I care about improving your life, not giving you excuses, not making you feel better. That's where I'm coming from. That's the main reason why I even care about this issue at all.
Because it goes into different avenues. It's not just about racism. Again, I can always go back to bodybuilding because it all ties in together. When you become pro nowadays, back in the 90s, before there was now this was in the Bigger, Faster, Stronger documentary. There was a Pacific kid who had a very powerful family that got a hold of some steroids. Kid ended up dying because he didn't know what he was doing with them. So they went after Major League Baseball. They went after WWE. Bodybuilding was the first thing to go. I don't know if you ever recall, but bodybuilding used to be on ESPN, Nationals,
Oh
the
yeah,
top of
yeah.
the shows, all of that. So you used to, when you turn pro, you got a weirder contract to where now you don't have to go back and work a 9 to 5 job when you turn pro. You totally focus on your craft, just like these NBA players get to do, just like these NFL players get to do, and be the best athlete that you can possibly be. Now, you know what you do when you get your pro card now? Congratulations. Go back to work tomorrow.
Right, right.
Your life basically doesn't change. Now, there are some athletes, right, when they turn pro, they get everything given to them.
Mm-hmm.
They get all the advantages. And so it's kind of funny that these are the athletes that ends up winning the shows. And why? Because they get the opportunity to entirely focus on their craft. So you got somebody like me who didn't get that opportunity, and now I got to work even double harder than what he has to.
Right.
And so these are white guys that are getting these kind of deals. These are black guys that's getting these kinds of deals. They're getting help making their YouTube channels. They're getting help with this. They're getting help with that. I could have just said, oh, they're the special ones. I'm just gonna give up. No. You know what I decided to do? I decided to start my own brand. Okay, supplement company. You don't want to take notice of me? Well, guess what? I'm going to make my own company, and I'm going to make my own damn supplements, and
Mhm.
I'm going to pay for the booths at the Arnold Classic. That's the attitude that I have. Because now with social media, you have the freedom to do so. I got my channel monetized with no help.
Right.
Jay Cutler went on a podcast, a bodybuilding podcast. He's 4-time Mr. O. He said bodybuilders nowadays, they don't take initiative. They don't have a business mindset. They don't do the work on YouTube. None of them have YouTube channels. They don't post enough on IG. I'm doing all that. I don't even think that there's a bodybuilder that's talking about real issues like me right now. That is a part of the IFBB. That's going out of his way, making his own brand like this. I got my channel monetized with no help from no supplement company for nothing. I don't know no other pro that done that. And why was I able to do that? Because of my mindset.
Exactly. Exactly.
The bulldog mindset, the no excuses mindset. If you want to make something happen, then you go out there and you get it done. You're not going to get that feeling sorry for yourself.
Yep.
I could have felt sorry for myself this whole entire time and done nothing. And John, you would never known of me.
Exactly. Exactly. You only have so much energy. You only have so much time in your life. If you're out there with a fucking sign, I'm sorry, but it's not helping you. Like you know what I'm saying? It's like I have a very individualistic, maybe objectivistic type of view, right? Maybe a selfish view on life, but I feel like you have to take care of yourself first. And you know what? If you're every time that you have a problem, right, in life, you got to decide how you're going to deal with that, right? And there's basically like 3 responses that are valid. Okay, one of them is to accept it. Okay, acceptance. Just okay, fine, it's all right. The second one is to change it if it's within your ability to change, and the third one is to walk away. What is not an acceptable solution to the problem is to whine about it, to be a bitch, to complain about it. And that's what so many people are choosing to do. Again, that's why I don't like, it doesn't matter what movement, right? Like I don't like the MGTOW guys. I don't like Black Lives Matter. I don't like feminism. Okay, because all of these things have the same thread in common. It's bitching and whining about shit.
Yeah.
It's not doing stuff that will actually improve you as the individual.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. It's like if we all, again, I'm not a huge Jordan Peterson fan, right? Like I agree with some of the things he says. I did some videos. I've pissed off some people because I did some videos talking about some of the stuff that he says that's not very good. Okay, but one of the things that he said that is actually very, very accurate. He talked about this idea of making your bed, of the idea of like one of his philosophies is that stop trying to change the world. Change yourself if we all change ourselves, then as an aggregate, we will change the world. Because trying to change other people, like for example, let's say like you're trying to change racism. Okay, it's a noble cause. I think there's a lot of people that think they're doing a great thing, and I don't personally hate anyone. Okay, but let's say that you're trying to change racism. So you tell people that racism is bad, as if they don't already know that. You have some guy that is actually racist, and you shame him, and you're like, you're a bad person because you're saying racist things, or you're a racist, right? And you accuse him of all this shit. Do you think that changes his mind? Do you think he's like, oh, well, I just seen the light. Now I won't be racist anymore. Especially when you're like, okay, okay, you're not overtly racist. It's an institutional racism. You give all these kind of reasons. Pretty soon people start to get tired of this shit, and they're like, well, what the fuck? Like, because you're not actually changing the people's mind. You're only speaking to the choir already. You're preaching to the choir, because all the people that are like, yeah, those are the people that already agree with you.
Right.
And all the the whole white guilt thing, and all the girls that are like, oh, I'm apologizing, I'm getting on my knees apologizing for my white guilt and my privilege and shit. Those aren't the people that need to actually fucking repent and change. The people that do are the same. It's the same class of people that are shooting people in the inner cities. They don't give a fuck, and they're never going to give a fuck. And nothing you say or do is ever going to change their minds, because they're just going to do whatever they're going to fucking do. So it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of effort. The only thing that you're doing when you're doing this kind of stuff is you're virtue signaling, and you're preaching to the choir. When you actually change yourself, the individual, if we all focus on saying, let me just improve myself as much as I can. Fuck what other people are doing. I don't care if there's discrimination. I don't care if someone says some stupid shit on Twitter. I don't care. I'm just going to focus on me and doing my own thing, and improving myself, and being a good kind of person who extends the hand to help a person out, when I can. Then the whole world changes without, and there's nothing worse than, I think it comes down to another thing, which is that there's so much today, this idea of the ends justify the means, right? And that was what's happening with the looting and the rioting. They're like, well, yeah, but the ends, it justifies the means. Even though this stuff is happening, like at the end we'll end up with equity and all these things. So it's okay if it comes about in a violent way. The problem with that is that whatever, like the process that you use to achieve a thing directly determines what that thing is. So a society that is willing to accept violent means to what they think is a good ends is not going to be a society that you're going to want to live in. And so all the social justice warriors and all the canceling and all of the shit that's going on here, and the excuses being made for it, and all the bullying that, like if you bully people, if you have an idea and you bully people and you pressure them to believe that thing, and they only do it because they're afraid of looking bad on social media, because they're afraid of speaking out against a thing that they don't believe in, but they don't really believe it in their hearts. Do you think you've actually won? Like it's not going to be a good world. It's going to be a fake world, right? But if you work on the individual, right, and you preach the message of self-determination and self-responsibility, and we teach people, men, women, black, white, doesn't matter, that you are the only one responsible for your life. And if you want something in your life, you have to take the action to get it, and help the other people around you as much as you can along the way. Be a good person in that sense, right? And be grateful for the life that you have. If we teach people that, automatically it solves that problem. It's a harder path, but that world, those people, their hearts are in it. When they are not racist, when they are treating people equally, when they are being good people genuinely, it's because they actually believe it, not because they were forced to do it, right? And that's really, like, that's the heart of the thing that really just scratches at me with the whole BLM thing. Is it's like join us or else. It's like, you have to do this or else, or you're a bad person. I'm going to shame you and guilt you into accepting this philosophy, whether you agree with it or not. And if you don't agree with it, you're a bad person, as opposed to saying, hey, look, you know what? This is what I think. And you can think otherwise, But this is why I think this, and and making an appeal to my rational, senses. Like if that were the way that this were going about, then I would be much more on board with this. Because what am I going to argue? Am I going to argue and say that Black lives don't matter? Of course they do. Of course they do. Right? That's the problem. That's the problem. Is that we're focused so much on the things that we can't control, because it makes us feel like there's an excuse for us, or it makes us feel good, right? Even the white girl that's giving pity, that's like, oh, the poor black guy, I'm gonna whatever, I'm gonna help them.
Yeah.
Like, why is she doing it? She's doing it because it makes her feel because her vapid, useless life, it makes her feel like she's done something with her life, but she hasn't actually done anything.
Yeah. Shout out to Alpha Kingdom too.
Yeah.
My grandma told me this a long time ago. She said, we grew up in Christianity. She said, do not put your faith on anybody, Derek. You set the example. God will bless your life. And then hopefully they will see that. And then that will bring them to Christ. So when I first started Swole Alpha, my whole entire strategy was to try to get eyes on me for bodybuilding, because that was my way, as I explained earlier. Because the whole, if you try to pulse up your workouts, you're not going to get views. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Okay, but now I realize, as I'm gaining this audience, I have a much bigger responsibility, and I feel like the more I succeed, people are watching me. As they see me go up and achieve my goals, that will give them inspiration to go out there and to do the same for themselves. Because this whole entire thing about getting girls and becoming successful and doing this and that, those are all great. That's fine. But there's a bigger issue here. There's a bigger issue than, corny pickup lines and, getting raises and, all of these, materialistic things. I felt a heavy heart a couple of weeks ago, to the point where I was fighting back tears when I'm just realizing there are little kids dying. There are little kids dying in the inner city who did not choose to be there, who didn't even get a chance to even do anything with their lives, all because of the fact of people losing hope within themselves. They lost the hope, they lost the belief that they can do anything with their life, so they're going to decide to take another life. So yes, Swole Alpha, I'm making this a shout out right now. It's not about hooking up with women. It's not about bodybuilding. It's about believing in yourself, getting up, ending the excuses, and going after something positive in life that will help out the world. Not be the problem, not take another life, because we all have a responsibility to ourselves to be the best version of ourselves, because people are watching you. You are setting the example. Yes, of course, not everybody is created equal. I wasn't born in a rich family. John, you wasn't born in a rich family. I was a skinny little nerd. John, you was fat.
Yeah.
But now look at us. You can do the exact same. Why? Because there are people that are doing it. They are not special. There's nobody that is special.
Yep.
There's so many disadvantages that people have that they overcome. You can do the same. And I'm sending out a message to young Black men that you do not have to give in to this so-called stereotype of being Black. Because I feel like it's a social pressure. And that social pressure is holding them back from succeeding. You can be yourself. You can be different. You will be okay.
Yep.
Do not give in to the system, because you think it's reverse. You think that you going against the system by acting black. No, that is exactly what the system wants you to do.
Exactly. You're 100% right. Couldn't
Wake
agree.
up. Wake up. It's time to wake up.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man. This is yeah. Such an important issue. Like so many people don't realize what they're capable of, and then they want to find issues. But like you said, like you pointed out, like it, you know, either one of us, we could have been excuses. We could have said, for various reasons, neither of us grew up rich, neither of us had the ideal conditions. But why did we get lucky? Maybe we got lucky. Maybe that's what it is, right? So take your chance to get lucky then, right? You know what I mean? What else are you gonna do? And someone pointed out here, it's like, I think this is interesting. He said, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just a red pill versus incels over again. It is. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's all the same. It's any group of people that wants to say that something is, that they can't do it because, and it's not their fault. It's amazing what you can do. I never thought that I would be where I am today, right? I never thought that that was possible. But you know, and you live in this little bubble of what your limiting beliefs are, or what you believe is possible, until you step to the edge of it, and then the bubble gets bigger, and it gets bigger, and it gets bigger. But you have to keep on stepping to the edge. As long as you're living in that comfort zone, and it's comfortable to make excuses, it's comfortable to blame someone else and to say that it's not your fault, that's where it's comfortable. But when you go to the edge of that comfort zone, you go to the place where, you know, and it's true for anything, right? Like where people are going to judge you. That's the thing that's scary, is like where people are going to judge what you're doing when you get on YouTube, when you know, when you go against your group of friends, when you break out of that group or that culture or whatever it is, and you go against, and you go your own way. That's where people judge you, and that's where it's scary. But that's where you have to go if you want to grow, because you can't grow staying in the comfort zone. That's the problem, is so many people want to stay in that comfort zone because they're afraid. They're afraid of what will people think of them. That's what it, and that's the funny thing. You know, that's the funniest thing, is because so many guys acting alpha, thinking it's alpha to be in their comfort zone, and some of these guys thinking that they're alpha, and you know what their biggest fear in life is? What other people will think of them, what other men will think of them, how they're going to be judged, how they're going to be seen as selling out or being weak, instead of doing what an alpha does, whatever a fucking alpha wants to do. He doesn't give a fuck about what someone else thinks. So if you think you're hard, you think you're tough because you're fitting some fucking mold, because you're doing it because you're afraid of what other people will think of you, that's nah. That's the least alpha that you could be. That's the weakest position that you could be, and that's what so many people are doing. So yeah.
Well, that's what I wanted to get out. So
No, this is good.
I
I guess we got blocked on the super chat. Someone pointed that out. That's why we haven't had super chats. I guess they turn that off when you say stuff that YouTube doesn't like. So
yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing. I mean, it's great because, you know, you're right, because like some of these things I couldn't say on my own, but you know, you being here, us talking together, I think hopefully we reach some people tonight, right?
Yeah.
You know,
even if it's just one, then
yeah,
we did something.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, and then, you know, and the thing is, like, you know, I think I can speak for you when I say this, that guys, we do this out of love. This is, you know,
yeah,
it's not about politics. It's not about what I want, what Swole Alpha wants. It's about you.
Downtime I had tonight, and I wanted to play Ghost of Tsushima on my PS4 tonight, but instead, I'm preaching to you guys, trying to motivate y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. All right. All right. You got anything else you want to add here? Otherwise, I think we'll end this one.
Yeah, nah, that's good. I'm done.
All right, guys, go check out, if you haven't already, follow Swole Alpha. He's got some awesome shit on his channel, so go check it out. The link is in the description below. And yeah, you know, think about this. Forget about the politics. Forget about just think about what are you going to do with your life, right? Think about what actions that you can take that are actually going to improve your life. All the kind of smokescreen kind of bullshit that the media has people fighting about, and it's all bullshit, because it doesn't affect your life, not directly. What you do affects your life. That's the thing. Just you know, I don't care where you stand. I don't care if you believe that this is the most racist fucking country in the world. Good, fine. I don't care. Not an excuse. Not an excuse. We could disagree on that. That's fine. We can still be friends. I'll buy you a beer. We'll have a good time. I don't care. But what I will care about is what you actually fucking do with your life. That's what's gonna matter. So,
Yes, sir.
all right, brother. Have a good night. Play some PS4. All right, see you guys.